welcome to the stream. So we're here for another round of Nexus this time round. So this is the final round of this Nexus season. Obviously Interlagos here, and obviously with the new updates we could see a few different cars having different strengths to what we've seen in the past. So we'll see how that affects the running order in this one. But obviously qualifying to get underway at 7, so 5 minutes before qualifying should be underway. And for anyone interested, Gecko currently leads the way by quite a lot, so Gecko should have this one no problem here, no matter what happens. And then 53-point gap between second and third, but only 3 points between third and fourth, which is Oni and Mart. So there could be a bit of a battle on for us to watch out for between Oni and Mart there, to see who can take third place in the championship. And then we also have between 5th and 6th, which is Umbar and Philo. There is only 5 points between those guys, and then JP is only 11 points behind them as well. So we could see a little bit of a battle on between those guys there then. And hopefully after this round, I believe Gecko will be submitting a bit of a questionnaire at some point later on for people to say what they've liked and what maybe they think should be done differently, and that way we can obviously look to improve it for the next season as well, and hopefully get more regular showers, which will allow for a tighter battle at the top of the championship, which is obviously what we want to see. But obviously the two McLarens going well in practice here by the looks of it. As we've got Oni matching Gecko's time exactly there in the practice. Mullet not far off either. Philo not lapping. MV are Frozen, who I've not commentated on before, so we'll see how well they go in this one. And the Hyundai Genesis there by the looks of it. Which I don't think we've had anyone in the Hyundai Genesis yet. It'll be interesting to see how that car gets on in this one. And then obviously we said Oni and Mar we could be seeing battling each other, so we have got Mar out there, but Oni higher up. And obviously for those of you that don't know, this is a 2-race series, so there's a 30-minute race to start off with, set by qualifying, followed by a 30-minute race that's set by reverse grid of the first race. And tyre strategies involved, we normally see one set of softs, one set of mediums, but we have seen a few no stops on hards because there's no required tyres or pit stops. So we have seen some no stops on hards in some of the races, and we have seen some double softs in some of the races. Gecko's just letting everybody know 2 minutes till we get qualifying underway now then. So JP out there for his battle for 5th place in the championship with Philo and Umbar now then. Hopefully JP doesn't have any brake issues tonight, which I know he's been struggling with recently with his setup. As I said, hopefully we can end the series in a good fashion with some great racing. Oh, and it looks like JP might still be having brake issues there because his brakes still flickering on a bit while he's on full throttle. So that's not good news for JP in this one now then. So hopefully you can get that sorted, ready for the next season. And then Swoodson now then. In the Jag. And Kevlaro out on track now in the Porsche. So here's someone we could see going for the no stop. But we'll see what tyre wear differences the new update has brought, as Kevlaro has done the no stop on mediums in the past, which no other car was capable of doing other than this Porsche. So we'll see whether that's still the case now, or whether the tyre wear on this Porsche has maybe been killed a little bit with the update. But hopefully Kevlaro can take the fight to Gecko in this one, as we've seen a few good battles between those two. So hopefully we can see another. It looks like Gecko there just getting us ready for qualifying. So we'll be getting qualifying underway very soon now then. As Philo comes into the pits there, knowing that qualifying is about to start. And here we go then. So hopefully we can have a nice tight qualifying. As it looks like Gecko as usual is going to get out first. So we'll go for a ride on board with Gecko in the Ford GT for the first flying lap when we get to it. And he can show us how to do a lap of it into Interlagos. Hopefully won't feel too much pressure from having us on board with him. As we see Philo and Mark then the next two out. Currently very close to each other. No one's going to be able to take the slipstream off Gecko. Swoodson choosing to come out of the back on his own. So Swoodson not wanting any slipstream, but not wanting anyone in his way either by the looks of it. It's like Philo and Marta in the two of their own. And then the big gaggle of cars in the slipstream train behind that. But people will have to be careful they're not getting in each other's way in this one. As Gecko's just coming round, so we'll jump on board there now then. So Gecko can show us how to do a lap of Interlagos here in this Ford GT. So obviously coming down the long back straight, staying wider on this first lap to get the longer run, to carry a bit more speed through into turn one. We would go just before the 50-metre broad, braking down into second gear there and getting it nice and tight on the inside. Cutting as much of that curb as you can at the second part of the centre S there, and then powering round to the outside of the track. Hey, Real Pixel, mate. Cheering on Sean. That's Swoodson, I believe, isn't it, that? So hopefully Swoodson can have a good race this time round. He has gone to the back for qualifying out the way, so hoping to get a nice bit of clean air for his qualifying lap. We just see Gecko coming onto this middle sector now then, which is obviously where all the time is gained and lost in this track. And during the race, this is where you sort of single file, because you lose a lot of time going side by side here. Gecko powering out now, keeping it in second there, trying to reduce that wheel spin, a slight lift. Coming round towards the final corner now then, and can he get a decent exit? Does look like it, not using too much of that curb, maybe saving that for later. You can use that curb, but it can unsettle the car. So obviously just flat out to the line now then, so we'll see where that's going to put Gecko. Obviously it's the first one to cross the line, but what time's it going to be? A 1:30.9 is the time to beat. And Philo 5/10 off. What about Mark now then? Over a second off there. What can Mullet do on his first lap? Mullet jumps up into third place. Umbar then 6 as Kevlaro jumps up into fourth there. And Ace Killer 7th. What can JP do on his first lap? I have noticed watching these qualifyings, generally second lap is best for the tyres. Seems to be like tyre warm-up creates better on second lap, and here comes Swoodson now then. So let's see what Swootson can do, having got himself that clear air for his qualifying lap. See where he's going to put himself. Up into 7th place there then. But like I said, I have noticed on these that generally your second lap on the tyres is the faster lap. So this is where everybody will be pushing for it. Hey Hansen, nice to see you, mate. So obviously Gecko currently 5/10 clear on pole. But there'll definitely be improvements from the likes of Philo, Mullet and Kevlaro behind. And there was a few towards the back that didn't look like they set representable laps, so they'll still be looking to improve as Gecko's just come in to end his second lap now. As I said, he's generally the faster lap, so let's see if he can improve. And he doesn't, he matches his time exactly nearly. So no improvement there, and Philo had dropped back, so Philo came in for fresh tyres, I think, there. Let's go check on with Kevlaro now then and see what he can do about closing Gecko down as Mullet improves up into 2nd place there, and then Kevlaro takes that position off him up into 2nd. So now everybody coming for fresh tyres, going for another 2-lap stint. I said the 2nd lap generally better as JP improves as well. What about Swootson now then? And he's got Frozen behind him, who hasn't set a lap yet. Seemed to come back to the pits. Must have made a mistake on his first lap. So let's see if Swootson can improve at all on that first lap. He does, but not by much. Pretty much identical. What about Frozen now then? Still showing that he didn't set a lap there. Ah, that must have been his out lap. He must have come back in again. So Frozen there still to set a lap time as everybody now. No, Philo's on a fast lap by the looks of it. So we'll stay on with Philo and see what he can do, but just touches the grass on the inside there. That's not going to help him, but he keeps control of the car. He's got Mark for a bit of slipstream ahead of him now then, but hoping that Mark won't actually get in his way and lose him any time as he takes a big drift around the penultimate corner there. Mark gets out the way very nicely, but Philo pretty much identical on his best lap so far, so not showing an improvement at the moment. I think Philo could do with going for a 2nd lap, which he didn't do first time round, but everybody else appeared to improve on their 2nd lap. Like I said, I think tyre warm-up is better on your 2nd lap. But Philo does improve by about a 10th to go up into 3rd place ahead of Mullet there. And he is going to come in for fresh tyres again. So I think Philo may be getting it wrong as we see an improvement from JP there into 9th place. And let's see where Frozen is now as Frozens's got the slipstream off Swootson up to the line. So we'll see what he can do with his first flying lap now then. So that's Frozen up into 6th place there, and Swootson up into 7th. So we've got Gecko all on his own now on his fast lap. So we'll see whether Gecko can improve that target for everybody else for that provisional pole position. But as I said, this is the first flying lap on these tyres. And generally the performance has got better on the 2nd lap, but Gecko is purple at the moment, and he didn't actually improve on his 2nd lap last time round. So there still might be time in it for Gecko here. Maybe on this lap or maybe on the next one. So let's see as he comes up to the line now what he's going to do. No, he's lost a bit of time out that final corner there. So no improvement there. So who's next in line? It's Mark who's next to cross the line by the looks of it. So we'll see where Mark can do. Currently in 6th place. Possibly needs to battle with Oni, so we'll look to close that gap to Oni if he can. But no improvement at all there. As Kevlaro came back into the pit. What about our Mullet? Goes back up into 2nd place now then. So Mullet closing the gap on Gecko now then and jumping ahead of Kevlaro. So hopefully we could be in for a nice three-way battle, but makes a mistake. So has to come back into the pits. We'll see whether he's going to go out and try and do another lap as Kevlaro does come out. Philo just starting his fast lap now then. And Oni can't improve there. So who's that all out on their own? It's Gecko on his fast lap. So again, let's see whether Gecko now warm tyres now. So should be on for a better lap as he is there 2.5 tenths up now then. Just a decent final corner needed, which he's not had the last few times round, but that looks good enough there. So I expect an improvement to be coming in from Gecko now then. And obviously that Ford GT used to have good straight line speed. I'm not sure what changes in the update have happened as Gecko does improve, but again, loses a bit of time out that final corner, so only improves by a tenth. But that puts him on provisional pole by 3 tenths now, as everybody will be coming onto the final laps. So Cavallaro came back into the pit, so he's going to go for one more lap to see if he can get first or second now then. Philo picks up a penalty, so that's going to be the end of Philo's qualifying there. In 4th place, though, so we'll be hoping that Oni doesn't improve here, but Oni matching his time now. And will he get to the line in time for another lap as Ace Killer jumps up into 6th place now then? I don't think Oni's going to make it to the line. No, final lap just flashed up there. So this is the final lap for these guys. Oni needs to improve now if he's going to move up ahead of Philo. And he does improve, but it's not enough to go ahead of Philo. So that's Oni staying in 5th place now then. Who's next to come? It's Swoodson in 9th. Let's see what Swoodson can do, whether a couple of attempts needed. But Swoodson's on an outlap actually there, so Swoodson's qualifying is over. Who's next to come to the line? It's Gecko again is next up to come to the line. So we'll see what Gecko can do here. Whether he can improve that pole position again. Staying really wide, yeah, well down on his time. So what about Kevlaro now? Just about matching his best time so far. So really needs to push it out that final corner, and he does. So we'll see whether that's enough for him to gain. Needs a tenth to get ahead of Mullet, 4 tenths to get ahead of Gecko. So matching his best time so far. I don't think you're going to find 4 tenths in the final corner. Unless he made a huge mistake there on his best lap. No, he actually lost 3 tenths on his final corner there. So who's next to the line? It looks like Ace Killer coming to the line next. No improvement for him there. Who else is next now then? JP. What can JP do? Can he improve at all from the back of the grid here? Hey Steve, nice to see you, mate. No, JP's ended that lap. So do we have anyone else on a fast lap now? It doesn't look like we do. Yeah, it looks like everybody has finished their laps now then. So that is going to be our grid order. So hopefully we can have a good battle between Gecko, Mullet and Kevlaro at the front. Philo and Oni there as well to put the pressure on. So we could have a good 5-way battle. We'll see what strategies people use. There might be changes in strategies with the update to the game. Like I said, in the past we've generally seen a soft and a medium, occasionally a soft and a soft, and occasionally a hard no stop. And we have seen Kevlaro in the Porsche do a medium no stop, but I don't know if that'll still be a viable option for Kevlaro at all. But we'll have to see how it goes in this one. And we do have a few different cars up near the front. Mostly MR cars. Or is it all MR? All MR cars, isn't it? Yeah, so the top 5 all in the MR cars. So we'll see how they get on. Generally, this track does favour the MR cars. As obviously they got a bit better rotation coming around the middle sector of the track. So we'll just go through the qualifying order now then. So we've got Gecko taking pole position there for Mullet. And then Kevlaro in 3rd. 4th is Philo. Then we've got Oni in 5th. Ace Killer in 6th. 7th is Mark, followed by Frozen in 8th. Then we have Swoodson 9th. Umbar in 10th. And JP in 11th. So hopefully, final race of the season, this one. So hopefully we get a nice bit of entertainment to end the season. Like I said, different strategies could be at play here. Especially with the update. People might not have had much time to test the cars. And some people might have been able to find different strategies to what they've used in the past, maybe. But I definitely think Mullet and Kevlara will be really looking to take the race to Gecko at the front. And then Philo and Oni not too far behind will try and stick with those guys if they can. As we see there, Gecko just telling everyone 2 minutes. So just give everyone the chance to select any different tyres if that's what they want. But here we go. Gecko getting it ready to get underway now then. As I said, hopefully we should be in for a good final race here. Well, final 2 races, I should say. Because we do have a reverse grid after this, which is also a 30-minute race. Same format, but reverse grid. Hopefully we get a nice clean getaway from everyone here as the red lights start to come on. So we've got 5 red lights now. And they're off, so away we go with this one. Everybody gets a clean start. Very good start from Philo. Again, we have noticed that NSX does start well and seems even better now. Gecko getting a poor start, but Mullet going deep there, having to go off the track. Hopefully rejoins nice and clean. He does on the outside, but that loses him a lot of positions there and allows Gecko back up into 2nd place now then. So a good start from Philo, but we have seen the NSX a few times has been really good off the line. So Gecko now in 2nd place with Kevlaro into 3rd. Ace Killer with a really good start, jumping all the way up into 4th place there. And Mark taking advantage up into 5th. Oni staying in 6th there, frozen up, swooting up. Umbar Mullet, the real loser on the first lap, dropped right down to the back of the field here on the medium tyres. So we've got Philo on the softs, Gecko softs, Kevlaro softs, Killer softs, Mart softs, Oni softs, Swoots and softs, Umbar on the mediums, Mullet on the mediums and JP on the softs. So only Umbar and Mullet going for the mediums now then. Everybody else going for the soft option. So we'll see whether Philo's going to come under pressure from Gecko coming into turn 1 now. But Gecko's got Kevlaro right up the back of his gearbox as well there. So we could see any sort of moves going on in this one. As Philo is going to defend the inside and Gecko's going to go for that outside line now then. So has Gecko got round? No, but Kevlaro's nearly took advantage, and was the contact there, or did Gecko just lose that on his own? I'm not quite sure there, as it looks like Kevlaro may be slowing down, so maybe there was contact between Gecko and Kevlaro there as he filters back in behind Gecko. So not what Gecko and Kevlaro would have wanted, but good news for Ace Killer there, and good news for Philo as well. As Philo now got a 2-second gap at the front of this field. So we'll see whether he can build on that or at least keep that gap the same while these guys behind fight. Gecko and Kevlaro with Oni right up behind them now, as well as these guys are all right behind Ace Killer. So these guys will be wanting to make the move quick, but Ace Killer not going to be just giving away 3 positions here. So how's Mullet getting on? Mullet move back up into 8th place now then. But as we see, Mullet on the medium tyres, so a slightly different strategy to everybody else here. I know in the past this McLaren has had really high tyre wear by the looks of it in some of these races. So we'll see whether that's still the case or whether it's improved. It might still be the case, which might be why he's on the mediums in this first stint, so he can use the softs later on. But Gecko going to go for the move round the outside again. Didn't pay off for him last time. Will he get it done this time? No, he won't. And Kevlaro's going to get very close up behind him. And Oni's going to take advantage of that as Kevlaro gets slowed up by Gecko there, being unable to make the move. And Kevlaro got slowed right up, and Oni really took advantage of that. And Oni's now gone past Gecko and Ace Killer as well. So huge taking advantage of that by Oni there. Great driving there. Takes advantage of two cars battling and gets himself 3 positions in the space of 3 corners. So superb driving from Oni there. So Kevlaro now managing to get by Gecko as well, but Gecko's going to have the inside line. Can Kevlaro hold it on the outside and force Gecko to give him space? He can. So Kevlaro's now going to have the inside. Much harder around here to hold it on the outside, and yes, Gecko has to give that position up there. So Mart now coming under pressure from Swoodson as well for 6th place. But these guys right on the back of that front train, so maybe won't attempt moves on each other. We'll try and stick with these front guys. And Mullet dropping back a bit now then, but Mullet obviously on a different strategy. As we see Frozen's dropped back now, and JP dropped right back, but we did see JP still having braking issues, so maybe that's JP's problem again, unfortunately there. So Philo now extending that lead for 3 seconds, but Oni going to look to try and chase after him now then. And Ace Killer still holding off Kevlaro and Gecko, as Kevlaro and Gecko really fighting this one out together here. So Gecko forced to the outside, Kevlaro going to defend it. Gecko looking for the switchback, but no doing there. Kevlaro gets a good enough exit that he'll have the inside into this next corner. But you can see the power of that Ford GT really powering its way by. So forcing Kevlaro to have to give the space now then. And Gecko does get that position done on the outside. Great move by Gecko, taking advantage of the power of that Ford GT and able to sail around the outside of that Porsche there. So can Gecko, at a second time of asking, try and get past Ace Killer now, as Philo's just starting to get a nice comfortable lead in this race, and Oni not quite managing to close that gap down, but Oni is going purple at the moment, but I'm presuming Philo is as well, as these guys aren't up to the same qualifying pace they were setting before, so there's definitely still more lap time in this at the moment. As Philo is going to go purple, but is Oni going to be closing on him? Not quite. So Ace Killer still going to defend to Gecko. Nowhere for Gecko to go there. But Gecko does try it again, but no doing. Can Kevlaro take advantage this time? He's not close enough by the looks of it. And Ace Killer defending well, and Gecko goes to the inside, but Ace Killer's defending it. And Kevlaro now sniffing at the back of that gearbox again. So Ace Killer doing a fantastic job of holding these two off here. They're just unable to get past, and they're sort of ending up battling with each other while they try and get past, as Kevlaro is going to go for the move on Gecko again. So these two trading places yet again, as Kevlaro gets that move done at the same position that Gecko did in the last lap. But Kevlaro going to look for the outside. Can he hold it around the outside of Ace Killer? They're going to be very difficult, and no, Ace Killer able to swoop across Kevlaro's car there. So Kevlaro doing everything he can now to try and get by Ace Killer. But this is going to allow Gecko back alongside Kevlaro. But no doing for Gecko there, has to settle back in behind. We'll have to go for the run into turn 1. What sort of exit can Kevlaro get? These two look much closer to Ace Killer than they have been before. But Ace Killer with a mistake on the exit, and that holds Kevlaro up, so Gecko's going to get this one now. But can Gecko get on the inside of Ace Killer as well, as Kevlaro's got the slipstream, and that slipstream pulls him back ahead and allows Mark by as well. But Mart's going to be on the outside, and Kevlara does get to the inside this time. Can he get it stopped now then and give the space on the outside? He does. Great move by Kevlara there. And Gecko's getting swamped from behind here. So Gecko with a huge slide there, getting up on the curb. So that's going to drop Gecko behind Swootson and Mart now then. So Gecko, the real loser in that one, having dropped back down to 7th place there. So Gecko having a real hard time getting by Ace Killer, but Kevlara has finally got by. So Kevlara will be looking to pull away now then and chase after those guys in front. So here we go now then. Kevlara, 7-second gap he's got to try and close down to Philo now. And Oni with the purple lap, so Oni's starting to finally close in towards Philo as well. Because we're just 9 minutes into this 30-minute race. So people will want to get to that 15-minute mark before pitting. So I'm sure we saw someone sideways in the background there, but no doing. Everybody still seems to be on the right course as Philo keeping the times consistent. But Oni with a poor lap that time round. So if Oni can get the consistency up, it looks like he's got a bit more pace than Philo. But Philo's more consistent than Oni at the moment. And Kevlara now going to look to close these two down as well. And maybe take advantage in the second half of this race. Ace Killer still got a bit of a train behind him. So Ace Killer at the moment is the bottleneck after his very good start as he runs a little bit wide there. And that's going to allow 2 cars by, is it? Yes. After all that great defending, one little mistake and he loses 3 positions by the looks of it there, Ace Killer. As Mart, Swootson and Gecko all get that move done. So some great defending in the first part of this race from Ace Killer, but it only took that one little mistake and 3 cars have gone by. So will these guys be able to pull away from Ace Killer, or can Ace Killer now stick with them as Ace Killer has been the bottleneck at the moment? Gecko with a huge slide as he touches the grass on the outside, and that's going to allow Martin Swootson to pull away, but that slows Ace Killer right down, trying to avoid an accident there. And Swootson all over the back of Ace Killer, of Mart now, sorry, both in that same machinery. So let's see what happens here. Will they work together? No. Swootson's looking for the outside, sweeping back, trying to cut back to the inside. But Mart too wise for that. Mart's going to defend this one. Force Swootson to the outside of the track now then. And is Swootson going to just settle in behind? It looks like he is. He's going to look for the exit now then. Out of the centre S's. And he does get a decent exit there, but can he get to the inside of the track on Mart? No. Doesn't look like he's quite going to be close enough there. As Kevlara is starting to bring this gap down to the leader. And Oni bringing the gap down to the leader as well. So by the end of this race, we could be looking at a 3-way battle for the lead here, as these gaps are starting to come down a little bit. And Martin Swootson having a right ding-dong battle for 4th place as well, after finally getting by that bottleneck. But Gecko will be all over the back of them very soon. And obviously has dropped Ace Killer now, who's got Mullet for company. So Mullet on the medium tyres though. And looking at those tyres, they're not too bad. Is Mullet on the no-stop on the mediums? Maybe the tyre wear has improved on the McLaren, and the McLaren can now go longer on tyres. And if that's the case, we might see Mullet on the no-stop here. So we'll see whether that pays off or not. So will Mullet just sit behind and take the advantage of those softer tyres on the car ahead of him? We'll see what he does now then. And Frozen closing back up after his earlier issue as well. So yeah, Mullet just going to sit behind for now. Not going to look for any sort of a move. Going to take advantage of the car ahead to tow him along. but obviously won't want Ace Killer to slow him down at all, as we've seen Ace Killer slow a few of these guys down, as Mart having to defend the inside from Swoodson. And Kevlaro must have made a big mistake now then, as Kevlaro's back right on with these 3 cars. So after having closed the gap to first place down to nearly 6 seconds, Kevlaro now 11 seconds off the lead. So there must have been a big mistake that we've missed there from Kevlaro. Lost about 5 or 6 seconds there. So that's going to put him under pressure straight away again now. As Kevlaro's tyres, that rear right tyre now is not looking in a good condition. So maybe that's Kevlaro's issue, or maybe he's killed it. So Oni now then still closing up to Philo. So we could be on for a 2-way battle for the lead now then. And obviously Oni is fighting to try and overhaul 53 points to Ace Killer, which is unlikely, but fighting to hold Mart off, who's 3 points behind. So this will be a great result for Oni if he can get a podium. So some guys coming into the pits now then. So that allows Gecko by and Mullet by. And if Mullet is on the nose stop, which to me, looking at his tyre wear, it looks like he's looking after those tyres. So I think Mullet might have set himself up for the no stop here. And if that is the case, then being only 3 seconds behind Gecko and 15 seconds off the lead at this point might be an advantage, as some guys having to go onto the medium tyres. So those soft tyres not working well for some of those guys. So they're having to put the mediums on. So that won't be what they want here. So Umbar up into 5th, who was on the mediums as well, having not pitted yet. And JP, soft tyres still looking fairly decent, so he's not had to pit yet. As Kevlaro might get a penalty on his outlap there, was very wide. He might, yeah, there we go, 1 second penalty for Kevlaro. So it's not going well for Kevlaro in this one here. As Martin Swoodston still battling away. So these two have been battling together for most of the race here. And Frozen is starting to gain on them. So Ace Killer, Frozen, both stayed on softs. Mart stayed on soft, but Swoodson went mediums. Kevlaro went onto the mediums, but is going to have to serve that penalty now, as we see Philo and Gecko in, but Oni staying out for another lap. So Oni going for the overcut here. Or is he going for the better tyres come the end of the second stint? So Oni staying out 1 more lap. Might lose a bit of time here, but we'll hope that he'll gain that and more back with the fresher tyres come the end of the race, as we have seen Philo's car struggle with tyres towards the end of races in the past. But with the new update, that may no longer be the case. But Oni needs a good clean in lap here, with his tyres not in the greatest condition, needs to lose as little time as possible. And Mullet obviously looking like he's going for the no stop, but we'll see how his tyres are coping come the end of this race. Umbar on the mediums, but gonna have to come in soon by the looks of it. Possibly trying to stretch it out so he can get those soft tyres on for the final stint. And Philo there still in provisional lead of this race, but we'll see where Oni comes out in comparison to Philo. And Gecko, so Gecko now up into a 3rd place ahead of Kevlaro. So Gecko has jumped, with Kevlaro getting the penalty in that pit stop phase, that's allowed Gecko to jump him. And Gecko on the faster tyres now then. So that might be Kevlaro's race with Gecko over now then, as Gecko's got some clear air. As I imagine JP will be coming in on this lap, as we see Oni and Umbar coming in. So let's stay on board with Gecko and see where Oni comes out in relationship to Gecko, as Gecko's going to look to chase Oni down, but Oni's going to look to come out the pits and try and chase Philo down. But obviously, if Mullet's doing the no stop, then he has took the effective lead of this race during this pit stop phase. But it'll be whether he's got the pace in those tyres to get to the end of the race before he's caught. So 7.5 seconds gap for Gecko to close down for those podium positions. 3 seconds for Oni to close down on Philo. So Oni will be happy with that, with the fresher tyres and a 3-second gap, as he was closing up on Philo beforehand. So I do think Oni raw pace, if he can keep it clean, has got Philo here. But Philo was being very, very consistent in that first stint. So obviously if he can keep that up, that's going to make Oni's job much harder. But I do think we could see these two very close together come the end of the race. An 8-second gap now to Mullet, who's inherited the lead. And looking at those tyres, Mullet is going to try and go to the end of this race, as we've only got 11 minutes left to go now then. So can Philo close down 8 seconds in the next 11 minutes? So Philo doing low 131s most of the first stint, I believe. Sorry, high 131s, low 32s. Mullet is doing mid 33, so Mullet is 1.5 seconds a lap slower than Philo and Oni behind. So Philo and Oni here should, in theory, be able to catch Mullet before the end of this race. But it's one thing to catch a car, it's another thing to actually get the overtake done. So we're just coming up to 2/3 of the way through this one now. So we'll be into the final stage of this race. So like I said, I can't imagine that we'll see Mullet coming into the pits now. He'll be trying to take these mediums to the end of the race, but he's obviously going to struggle as the tyre wear is starting to get worse on that car. And that gap is coming down very quick, but this could be enough to get Mullet back on the podium. It might not get him the win of the race, but it might be enough to get him onto the podium, as he is 17 seconds ahead of Gecko. So that's a huge gap for Gecko to close down, as Philo put in the fastest lap there. So Philo were actually pulling away from Oni at the start of this second stint. So Philo opening up that gap at the start of this second stint of the race by putting in the fastest lap of the race. So he's seen Oni was coming for him and has put the foot down a bit more. So we'll see whether he's using them tyres and whether that's going to affect him later on in this one. But 5 seconds now to Mullet, so Philo definitely going to be catching Mullet before the end of this race. So we'll see whether Mullet lets him by and doesn't fight it, or whether Mullet's going to fight it to the end of this race. He might not have much of a fight on with trying to look after those tyres at the same time. And then what about Martin now? Then Kevlaro right up onto the back of Martin now. But Kevlaro had to put those medium tyres on. Frozen onto the softs again. He's now ahead of Swoodson, who had to put the mediums on. Didn't think the tyre wear was good enough to go for the softs again. So that's opened these guys up a little bit now. And Umbar now onto the softs for his second stint. So Umbar going to be looking to chase down Swoodson now and see if he can get 8th place. And Ace Killer dropped right back after the very good start to this race. So clearly made an error somewhere on one of his laps. And unfortunately JP still struggling with braking issues, as we can see there at the back of this grid. So 3 seconds now between Mullet and Philo. And we've got 7.5 minutes left to go in this one. So Philo 2 laps, I think, and he's going to be in striking distance here, because he is lapping. Actually, he's now lapping about 2 seconds a lap quicker than Mullet. So actually, he's going to be on him by partway through the next lap, I imagine. Or at least by the end of the next lap. And Oni's starting to drop away a bit here. So Oni lost a little bit of pace on this second stint. Or Philo picked up the pace. One or the other, I think a little bit of both. So Oni now maybe looking to have to settle for third place, but he could still be in with a fight with Mullet. And if Mullet chooses to really defend hard against Philo, that might slow both of those guys down and allow Oni to get back into this fight. As Gecko now is starting to try and close on these guys, but not quite got the pace he maybe would want. But we'll see here, as this will be our big teller as to whether Gecko's managed to pick the pace up. Coming across the line, it's not purple, but it's getting closer to that fastest lap time. So Gecko has picked up the pace, but it's not going to be enough to challenge Philo and Oni, I don't think. But you never know what will happen with Mullet, because 12 seconds now for Gecko to Mullet, as we see Philo just getting onto the back of Mullet now, like I said. So Philo is going to be right in striking distance by the end of this lap. See whether he's patient and waits, because it's not easy to overtake in this middle sector of the track, but he has got a huge tyre wear advantage. Sorry, huge tyre advantage. He's got less tyre wear and he's on the softer compound, so it should in theory be an easy pass for Philo, but theory is different to actual practice, and we'll see how calm Philo is. And this is allowing Oni to catch up a little bit, so Philo doesn't want to wait too long, but he does need to be patient, because he should have the big advantage, so it should be a fairly simple overtaking maneuver, but he doesn't want to lose too much time to Oni behind in the process, as Mullet looks like he's going to defend the inside here. So it does look like Mullet's not going to give this up easy, but it's going to be awkward there for Mullet to defend this one, as I expect Philo will get the run on the better tyres again, which he does, and he's already on the outside of him there. So Philo already getting by. That's what Philo needed there, to get by as quick as possible. But Oni has closed up. We'll see if Mullet's got anything to fight back with, as his tyres are not looking in a good condition anymore. And it doesn't look like he's going to have any answer back. He needed to do it there, if anywhere, because now with the better tyres, Philo should in theory just be pulling away in this one now. So yeah, Philo pulling away now, but Mullet going to be under pressure from Oni as well. Oni will be hoping he can get the move done quicker than Philo did, and that might give him a chance to try and get after Philo. So we'll see, can Oni get onto the back of Mullet before the back straight here? Because if he can, then that should allow him a better chance of the move into turn one and losing less time than what Philo did. And it looks like he's going to be here. So will he get the run now? Should be an easy pass for Oni, I would have thought, but Mullet made it hard for Philo, so I presume he's going to make it hard for Oni as well. And I think Gecko is going to be too far back now, and Mullet is going to try and defend it by the looks of it. Yeah, and Oni has to go to the outside, so going to look to cut back now, and Mullet does go a bit deep, and Oni gets that cut back, very similar to Philo did there. So that's Oni through now, and that gap has come down from 4 seconds to 2 seconds with these two cars getting by Mullet. So if Oni can put in the best 2 laps that he's done so far, he'll have a chance come the very end of this race at Summit for first. But Philo at the moment is looking very comfortable and looks like he'll be able to sustain that 2-second gap and take the win in this one. So will Gecko actually now 5 seconds, so Mullet with defending's lost himself a bit of time as well, and he is obviously struggling on those tyres now. So will Gecko be able to close down 5 seconds before the end of this race? as we'll only have a couple of laps left to go. 2 more laps when they cross the line, I believe, as we see Oni spins out there. So a mistake from Oni now then, and that's going to give Gecko the podium. So huge mistake from Oni there, a lap putting Mullet back up into second place and giving Gecko the podium. So Gecko now looking to chase down Mullet for the second place. As will there be enough time for 2 laps when these guys cross the line? Just about. What about Gecko? Is he going to get... It's going to be very, very close. Gecko should just about get the extra lap, and that might be enough for him to pass Mullet. Mullet will be hoping for dear God here that checkered flag comes out at the end of this lap, but I don't think it's going to. I think he's going to have to defend Gecko off for 1 lap, as Gecko should be up onto the back of him towards the end of this lap, I would have thought. So he's going to have to defend for 1 more lap against Gecko to hold that second position. And Oni's probably going to have to settle for 4th now. So further back, we got Mark fairly comfortable now in 5th place. Frozen up there in 6th, but tyres not looking good at all. So Swoodson coming back towards these guys, and Umbar putting Swoodson under pressure, but tyres not looking great. But these guys, Kevlara picks up another penalty and dropped right back again. So Kevlara with another mistake. It's gone disastrously wrong for Kevlara in this one. So not what Kevlara would have wanted here. And JP, as we said, struggling with brake issues there. So Philo does get another lap. What about Mullet now then? Yes, Mullet's going to get the final. And what about Gecko? Yes, Gecko crosses the line just as the timer ends. So Gecko gets the final lap by a split second. And that's going to give him the chance at going for second place. Not what Mullet wanted there. A split second in it, and Gecko gets that chance at going for the move. And I think by the end of this lap, he's probably going to pull this one off, as he's got a huge tyre advantage to Mullet here. So I can't see Mullet being able to defend this one. Gecko probably going to get the chance at some point, but it's very awkward in this section to overtake. But we have seen Gecko do it earlier in the race. But what can Mullet do? He's got nothing to lose as he defends this one now then. As everybody else behind has finished and looks to the inside, but nowhere to go on to the outside now then. And Mullet's got this defending, nowhere for Gecko to go. He's not going to be able to go the long way round here. It's all about the exit out the corner. And he's looking for the inside. No, he's going to settle back in behind. Gecko with the better tyres, with a better exit, should get the run to the line, I would imagine. So can Gecko get it done now? He's right up behind Mullet. It's all about the run to the line now then. Has Gecko got a good enough exit with those softer tyres? Doesn't look like he has. I don't think he has. No, Mullet just holds on to it by 0.5 there. So Mullet just holding Gecko off there in that final lap for second place. Fantastic racing at the end there. So we'll just go through the results. Philo taking the win and the fastest lap there. Mullet with a difficult start early on, but going for that no stop has worked, taking him home a second place there. And Gecko having to settle for 3rd place right behind Mullet come the line. Oni, after that big mistake, should have had it in 2nd place, has to settle for 4th. Mark down in 5th with after a great consistent race there, and Frozen recovering up to 6th. Umbar 7th. Swoodson dropping a bit after a good first stint down into 8th. Ace Killer after good defence early on dropping down to 9th. Kevlaro, things going all wrong as the race went on there, dropping down to 10th. And JP rounding us off in 11th with his brake issues, unfortunately. So some great racing there. Hopefully we get the same in what's going to be the final race of the season coming up next. which is a reverse grid. So we're going to have to see these guys coming through. We'll see if there's any change of tactics. I think Mullet will probably go for the no-stop again, especially starting at the back. I'm presuming he'll just go for the same strategy as before. And those other guys at the front all went soft. So again, I imagine they'll do the same and try and get through that pack of cars as quickly as possible. And then try and be ahead by the pit stop phase. But we'll see whether maybe Oni sees what Mullet did and maybe tries the same. So we're just going to have to wait a couple of minutes while Gecko gets everyone ticked in and sets the reverse grid ready for this next race. But that was a fantastic little battle we had at the end there, which is what we want to see. So Swoodson there saying he had a good fight with Umbar, which we did see a little bit of, but as we saw, Umbar was catching right up onto the back of him there. But obviously we were concentrating on that chasing down of Mullet on the no-stop strategy at the front of this one. As I said, we'll see what we get in this second race now then. As I said, this will be a reverse grid of that order. So good news for Kevlaro, having had a poor race. He'll get to start up near the front. But obviously that's where he started last time. Was in second place and did not go too well. And we'll see how Philo does from the back here. As Philo has got a few rocket starts and got a rocket start in the last race, so we'll see whether that helps him out. As I think Gecko's got the grid wrong here, unless he's not finished doing it yet. Oh, it looks like the room might have died. Hey, Jazz. As we see, oh, and Gecko there has changed the order of those two, so two people having ended up disconnecting there, so does look like the room is still on, so hopefully these guys will be able to get back in now. But we might have to just wait that little bit longer to get this second race underway now. As Gecko just confirms, waiting for those two to be able to jump back in. So we've had the update to the game, but unfortunately still having a few little issues. But as long as we get good racing, we can put up with those little issues. And hopefully they'll all get sorted at some point. As I was saying, that NSX gets a cracking start off the grid by the looks of it. So we'll see if Philo can take a big advantage over Mullet, Gecko and Oni at the start like he did in that first race. Starting in 4th place, I believe, and having the lead by turn 1. So that's how good the NSX is off the start. And we'll see whether Mullet chooses to go for that no-stop strategy again at the back of this grid, or whether he will go for something a bit different this time round. It definitely worked for him last time, so I expect him to stick with that same strategy. And there we go, Ace Killer managed to get back in, so hopefully Swudson will be back in soon as well. No, it looks like Swudson had to go, unfortunately. So that's going to be him gone from this one. But at least we've got Ace Killer back in now then, so we should be getting underway very shortly here. So there we go, Gecko just checking everybody's ready, so we'll be underway very shortly now then. So for this second race, which is obviously a reverse grid. Frozen excited to get this second race underway by the looks of it there. So here we go then. As I said, keep an eye on Philo at the back of the grid. See if he can get the jump on the start like he did on the first race. Wrong button there. And we'll see what Cavallaro can do from the front. After having that disappointing first race, he's in a position to try and run away with this second one. And away they go, and it looks like Cavallaro and Ace Killer get a better start than JP, but Ace Killer getting the best start. That Porsche really not good off the line by the looks of it. Cavallaro got swamped at the start of the first race as well, and he's done the same again now. And Philo already up to 5th place. We said about the start that car has, but a big crash in the background by the looks of it. It was Mart and Philo involved in that one. So maybe Philo's great start in that car coming to backfire against him there. As obviously getting such a great start put him right in the middle of the pack. And then obviously maybe that was the cause of those issues. Too many cars going into turn 1 and nowhere for anyone to go there. But Ace Killer is going to take the lead of this one and lead us away as Umbar up into 2nd place. Cavallaro dropping down into 3rd. So Cavallaro will want to get by these guys as quickly as possible now then, to allow himself to be able to try and run away with this one. But we have seen a few mistakes from Cavallaro, so never quite know what's going to happen, as he's not quite able to get the move done on Umbar there, but he should get the run coming down into turn 1. But he is against a GTR, so a good car with the top end speed, and it looks like even with slipstream, Cavallero's not gaining on Umbar at all there. So Umbar with a huge advantage. What about Oni on Frozen now, looking for that outside line? So Oni and Gecko up to 5th and 6th. So they're the big winners here out of those guys starting at the back. After Philo with the great start, then dropped back. But Mullet is on the medium tyres. So it does look like Mullet's going for that same strategy again. So Ace Killer softs. Umbar onto the softs this time round. Kevlaro's gone onto the mediums this time round though. So a different strategy from Kevlaro this time. So we'll see if that pays off come the end of the race, as he did struggle at the end of the first stint on those soft tyres. Frozen on the softs, Oni onto the softs again as well, Gecko softs as well. Mullet on the mediums, I imagine going for that same no stop again. So he'll just be wanting to stick with Gecko and Oni here for as long as he can and look after those tyres and give himself as big a gap as possible for those guys to close down come the end of the race. JP on the mediums now this time, so maybe JP going for the no stop this time round as well, but got a penalty to serve with Mark right up behind him on the softs, and then Philo all the way at the back with a lot of recovery to do after that early incident with Mark on the softs also, as we see Ace Killer pulling Umbar along now then, and they are starting to drop Kevlaro, who's on the medium tyres here. So these two have started to drop Kevlaro. And Oni now past Frozen. So Gecko will want to get by as quick as possible as well to stick with Oni. And these guys will obviously be looking to close up to Kevlaro as well now, with Kevlaro being on the harder compounded tyres. A big slide from Frozen there. Is that going to be enough to allow Gecko to get alongside? It doesn't look like it, but he's going to be given the inside. No, he's not close enough to go for anything there. Has to settle in behind. But Frozen managing to stick with Oni now that Oni's passed. And Gecko having to fight. This is good news for Mullet, because the more these guys fight up ahead, the less distance they're going to get on him come the pit stop phase, which is going to bring his no stop strategy into play come the end of the race. The closer he can be to these faster guys that should make their way back to the front of the grid, then the better this strategy is going to play out. And Mark now then working his way back through as well, and so's Philo. So these two trying to get back. So good news for them if there's fighting going on. Make it a bit easier for those guys to catch back up. As Umbar going for the move on Ace Killer there, but we saw in the first stint of the first race, Ace Killer with some very good defensive driving. So showing that again now then, as nowhere for Umbar to go there. So Ace Killer still holding that lead at the moment and holding Umbar up. This is good news for Kevlaro on the medium tyres, but the bad news for Kevlaro is right in his mirrors now, and that's Oni closing right up. But Gecko has got stuck behind Frozen here. He's going to go for it on the outside. Can he sail around the outside? We've seen him do it before. No, he can't. Has to back out of that one there. So Gecko is being held up now then, not quite able to get by Frozen. So this isn't good news for Gecko here, as that's keeping Mullet in touch as well. So this is not what Gecko wants, to be held up while his rivals are starting to pull away a little bit further up. Yeah, nowhere for Gecko to go there, having to be patient. But I expect he should get a good exit out the corner here, and he should have the move done going into turn one, I would have imagined. Let's see what he can do now then. So he has got the run. He's got the toe coming down the straight as well. Frozen not going to defend it, but I don't know if Gecko's going to be close enough to go for that one. He's not. But can he get the run out the S's now, the center S now then? That'll be his next objective, to get him into the next corner, but half a second penalty there. So Gecko will get this position no matter what anyway, but he'll want to get it sooner rather than later, as Frozen is defending the inside, so he is holding Gecko up here, but round the outside, no. Gecko cuts back again, which we've seen him do a few times there, but no doing. Frozen going to defend the inside again, is he? No, he thinks Gecko's too far back, so he gets back on the racing line. Gecko pushing him through the corner now then. So Gecko really struggling to get by Frozen here. But Frozen goes a bit deep. Is that Gecko's invitation to get by? No, it's not. So it looks like Gecko's going to have to be patient and wait for Frozen to serve that penalty before he's going to be able to get by here. So Here we go now then, yep. So Frozen coming to serve that penalty now, but it's really slowed Gecko down, as Oni has got by Kevlaro now then on those softer tyres. So Kevlaro will be trying to just stick in Oni's slipstream if he can, and use Oni to pull him along. But we have seen, look at that Porsche in the slipstream. The Porsche just has nothing in the straights at all. Even when it's in slipstream, cars are just pulling away from it. So that's Kevlaro's struggles. If he ends up behind, he's going to struggle to get overtakes done in the second part of this race if he goes onto the soft tyres, which I imagine he will do. But Ace Killer still holding on in the lead ahead of Umbar, but Oni now right involved in this fight, and he's also helping drag Kevlaro back into this fight as well. So he's still all to play for as we're coming up to 8.5 minutes in. So thinking about another 5 or 6 minutes before we start to see people coming into the pits. And that's where we'll really see. I wonder if the likes of Oni and Kevlaro, well, unlikely with Kevlaro because of struggling on those soft tyres last time round. He's probably going to go an extra lap, but I wonder if we're going to see anyone like Gecko maybe try and undercut to try and jump this group of cars here, because I imagine it's not going to be long before Gecko's on the back of this group, as he has now cleared Frozen. And Mullet now still only 8 seconds, so not as far off the lead now as he was last time round. So if he can keep this up, and he might be looking after tyres a bit more than in the first race, and if that's the case, he should be in a good position come the pit stop phase, which is obviously Mullet's aim in this one. As Philo back up onto the back of Mart now then. So Philo and Mart battling away now after their first turn incident. And Philo is going to look to go for a move on Mart. But these guys closing up on Mullet as well. So Mullet won't want these guys to fight him too much. And they have got pace, so he probably will want them to get by so he can just follow them. But he doesn't want them ahead of him if they're going to be battling like this, because that will slow him down now then. So we'll see whether Philo can look for any sort of a move, as we're just keeping our eye on the front three as well. It is currently still the same order. It's still Ace Killer from Umbar from Oni. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that up ahead, as we're probably seeing that front group of cars all get closer together. And Philo and Mart not as far off that front group as they would have expected. As Mullet now getting caught up by Frozen. Frozen makes another mistake. He's going to pick up a penalty, but we see a yellow flag. It's Oni again. So Oni has gone again, as we see a change for the lead from Umbar there. So Umbar finally getting past Ace Killer there. And Kevlaro right up with these guys, and Gecko now up into 4th place with that mistake from Oni. Same place as he made the mistake in the second stint last time round. And Mullet now up into 6th place, 8.5 seconds off this lead, but with a pack of cars behind him, which is not what he wants, because he doesn't want to have to defend here. Because Mullet's running his own strategy, so Mullet needs as little time loss as possible, as Philo gets it on the curb and makes a huge slide, and he's gone. So that's Philo into the same wall as earlier on. So all going wrong in this second race for Philo there then, as Umbar has managed to start to drop Ace Killer. What can Ace Killer do to get back at Umbar here, as Umbar's tyres are gone? So Umbar really going to be struggling now on tyres as well, so Ace Killer should be able to get back at him here. And Kevlaro now right on the back of these guys, so good news for Kevlaro, running those medium tyres in this first stint due to the struggle with tyre wear in that first race, has obviously got right on the back of these guys now. But the bad news for Kevlaro is that guy right behind him in his mirrors there of Gecko, who is going to get the undercut on Kevlaro no matter what, I would imagine, as we do see Ace Killer get back by Umbar now then. So Umbar's surely going to have to come into the pits this lap. I'm going to have to put the medium tyres on as well, I would have thought. Yeah, indicator on. So Umbar's coming into the pits, and he does. There's Umbar filtering into the pits. So Kevlaro now got Gecko for company on those softer tyres. So Kevlaro will not want Gecko to go by him before the pit stops, but I imagine Gecko will jump him in the pits because Gecko will probably pit a lap earlier than Kevlaro does. And Kevlaro's issue is he's probably not going to be able to overtake that Ford GT down the straights, looking at the Porsche straight line speed struggles. And if that's the case, that means that that he's going to have to get something done in the middle sector, which is not going to be easy in this second stint. But these three racing for the podium along with Mullet now then. But Mullet picked up a half a second penalty. That's not good for his strategy. Because Mullet here still only just over 8 seconds, 8.5 seconds off the lead. So Mullet in a great position on this no-stop strategy to get the win here this time round. So that half a second penalty really not what Mullet would be wanting here. But these guys ahead fighting so much as Kevlaro gets through on Ace Killer. So actually Mullet's going to be closer to the lead even after serving this half second, I would imagine, than what he was anyway. So it's not going to affect his long-term race too much. But it surely is going to allow Mark by, which might actually be good for Mullet if Mark gets by. Mark on the softer tyres. But Mullet won't want Mark to hold him up too much as Gecko and Ace Killer do come into the pits. So Gecko in a lap earlier than last time, which is what I thought might happen. We'll see whether Kevlaro risks coming in on this lap, as these guys do now lose time to Kevlaro. Now he's got a bit of clean air. So we'll see, will Kevlaro come in this lap or will he wait for the next one? Hey, Nay, how's it going, mate? So Kevlaro here currently in the lead, but oh, Mullet back up into second place now. This is not what Mullet wants, though. This is not good for Mullet's race, having a fight. Mullet needs to just have Mark do laps ahead of him and be able to just stick with him. He does not need to be fighting, as we're just hitting that pit stop. Everybody who hasn't pitted yet, other than possibly Kevlaro, will come in on this lap. Kevlaro might go for one more. Yeah, Kevlaro surely isn't going for the no-stop. I don't think he's got the tyres to go for the no-stop by the looks of it. We know Mullet will be going the no-stop. Yeah, Mullet's tyres are a lot better than Kevlaro's. So I expect everybody in this lap other than Kevlaro, who might go one more. But no, Kevlaro is coming in. So there it is. Kevlaro doesn't want Gecko getting too big of an undercut on him. So where is Gecko now? And Gecko is still stuck behind Ace Killer after coming out the pits. So this is good news for Kevlaro, because this might get Kevlaro back out ahead of these guys still. Umbar did put the mediums on, so he's lost a bit of time to these guys, and he's probably going to start to drop off now. So where are the likes of Oni and Mullet going to end up in this one now then? Sorry, Kevlaro going to end up. Mullet's going to inherit the lead on that no-stop strategy, and I think he might have a big enough gap this time round to take the victory, where he did get closed down last time round. So Kevlaro does get the overcut on these guys. Well, I think when these come in the pits, I think Kevlaro had technically made the move. So it's not technically an overcut because he had made the move just before the final corner, I think, on the lap that they pitted. But he does get out ahead of Ace Killer and Gecko, which is what he needs. And even more so for Kevlaro, he gets out ahead of him, but Gecko is behind Ace Killer rather than Gecko being behind him. So I'm presuming Kevlaro would have put the softs on, and he has done. So 14 seconds this time round, the gap to Mullet. So can Kevlaro close in 14 seconds? It's going to be tight, but in the last race, they were lapping about 2 seconds a lap quicker than Mullet was. So I do still think Mullet's going to come under pressure come the end of this race. But it depends how much these three cars fight, because these three cars are all going to catch Mullet at the same time. So this could be a very, very interesting end to this race. We could have a four-way battle for first place come the end of this one. So definitely worth keeping an eye on it here. As Gecko is going to get the move done, is he now then? Let's see, there's Ace Killer looking to hold on, but no. Gecko does get by, but will Ace Killer fight this one back? Let's see now, as Gecko's going to have to go defensive to the inside. And he does. Can Ace Killer do anything to get this move back? Going to look for the cutback, is he? No, he's going to try and hang it around the outside. Gecko blocking that cutback off. So Gecko looks like he might have that. Still having to defend hard though here. Ace Killer not giving it up without a fight. But this might allow Gecko now to start to chase after Kevlaro, but Ace Killer not giving it up. He knows if he's going to stay ahead of Gecko, he needs to get back by him sooner rather than later, because as soon as Gecko gets a slight gap, Gecko will be pulling away to chase after Mullet and Kevlaro. So that might be game over there for Ace Killer in terms of fighting Gecko and Kevlaro here. But if he can try and stick with them the best possible, he might still have a chance at a podium, depending on what happens to Mullet on that no-stop strategy. So Umbar dropping off now with being on the medium tyres, but got a big gap behind. And Mark going to look to close that down, and Oni all the way down into 7th now then. So things have gone all wrong for Oni after going very good early on here, as he's coming under pressure from Frozen. So Frozen looking for that outside line now then. As JP up into 9th, so that's another mistake from Philo maybe. So Oni does hold Frozen off there though. Yeah, and Philo right down. So Philo must have made another mistake. So this second race has just gone all wrong for Philo after taking the victory in the first race here. And now 9.5 seconds to Mullet now with 10 minutes left to go. That's a second a minute they need to close down. And a bit more than that for Gecko. Mullet probably needs Gecko to catch Kevlaro before Kevlaro catches Mullet. Because if Gecko can catch Kevlaro before Kevlaro catches Mullet, then they might slow each other down. But Kevlaro looking like he's quicker than Gecko at the moment. But Gecko has dropped Ace Killer now. So it's going to be a straight out pace fight between these guys to see whether they can chase down Mullet. And it's going to be very tight come the end of this race. Yeah, so what was Mullet's time on that last lap? A 33.8 to a 31.4. So it's over 2 seconds a lap that Kevlaro is taking out a Mullet here. So in 4 laps time, Kevlaro will be on the back of Mullet. But there's only going to be, what, 5 or 6 laps left in this race, probably 5 laps. So it's going to come right down to the wire here. And what about Gecko at 31? So Gecko's 2 seconds a lap quicker than Mullet as well. But Gecko's an extra 3 seconds back than what Kevlaro is. So this is going to be one hell of a podium battle come the end of this race between these 3 guys. Because it looks like Kevlaro is catching Mullet quicker than Gecko is catching Kevlaro. So Kevlaro should be onto the back of Mullet before Gecko is onto the back of Kevlaro. But if Mullet then defends for his life, which I think he will come the end of this race, that could get Gecko right in there. And we could have a 3-way battle on the final lap to take the win. But we'll see whether it might be 1 lap less this race with the incidents early on and the reverse grid. Because the top 3 only just made, sorry, the top 4 only just made the final lap last time. Everybody else did 1 lap less. But Ace Killer still going strong here, so Ace Killer still in a position to pick up a podium if anyone makes a mistake up ahead. which we saw Oni do in the first race. And Umbar going well as he's got Mart chasing him down, but looks like he's going to be able to keep that gap, especially because Mart's coming under huge pressure from Oni here now then. And Oni does get by, does he, by the looks of it? Yes, he does. He's going to have the inside line now then, so Oni should be able to get this move complete. So we'll see now whether he can do, but Mart's going to hang it on the outside. No, Mart's going to look for that switchback better line, but he's not going to get the run out the corner that he wants. So Oni has taken that 6th position back. So that's good news for Umbar, because that's stopping these guys chasing after him. And Frozen trying to get involved in this battle as well. And Oni just trying to make up after some mistakes earlier on after starting the race well. Oni now, can he start to pull away from Mart, or can Mart hang on to him there? Very similar tyres. Frozen's tyre wears much worse, so I think Frozen's going to end up dropping off these guys as Philo pits again. So Philo maybe going to try and go for fastest lap here. That's the only thing I can think. He's at the back, race over. The only thing I can think is he's just going to try and go for fastest lap, as that gap down to Mullet now down to less than 4 seconds. So as no, Kevlaro's just absolutely flying here. 31.5, 31.4, 31.6, 31.4 since pitting. So Kevlaro is absolutely flying. That gap is coming down in no time to Mullet here. Mullet's going to be under huge pressure to hold on to this win. Will that bring Gecko back in? Because Kevlaro's outlapping Gecko at the moment. Kevlaro's absolutely flying here. Gecko's got no answer at all. Philo's going to have to put in a really good lap to compete with Kevlaro's fastest lap there, because Kevlaro is absolutely flying in this one. So Mullet now 2.5 seconds, down to 2 seconds on the exit of the corner, as Mullet's tyres starting to go off now, so 5 minutes left to go. There's no way Mullet's going to be able to defend this for 5 minutes. But we've seen him hold Philo off for the full lap. He held Gecko off for the full lap as well in the first race. So he might be able to hold him off for the lap. But I can't see him holding Kevlaro off for much more than a lap with that tyre advantage and the pace that Kevlaro is showing here. As he does another 31.4, improving the fastest lap. That's 3 31.4s in the last 5 laps, a 31.5 and a 31.6. So the consistency and pace here from Kevlaro is ridiculous now then. Yeah, well, the only thing, Nay, that Porsche has really not had anything down the straights. We've seen it in the slipstream of 3 or 4 different cars, and every single car has actually pulled away from him on the straights. So it's not going to be as easy in the Porsche as you think, but I think the grip difference, he's going to get that much of a better exit out the final corner. I think, and I mean, the way he's driving at the moment, he might get it done in this middle sector. He's absolutely flying here, is Kevlaro. So I don't think it's going to be that difficult to pass, but Mullet will not give this up easy. The only problem for Mullet is if he defends this, his podium place could be in doubt, because Gecko and Ace Killer are closing in as well. So he might be better actually just letting Kevlaro have the win and trying to claim that second place. But obviously when you're racing, that's not what you're thinking about. You want that win if you've got it. And as I said, we're just coming up to only 3 minutes left, so only two more laps possibly. These guys might scrape a 3rd lap, actually, these two. But at least 2 more laps he's going to have to hold Kevlaro for. And as we see there, look, the Porsche just wasn't really gaining down the straight, but it's going to have much better grip here and a better exit. But Mullet is going to defend that inside from that better exit. But will Kevlaro have the grip to go around the outside here? Yeah, look at the grip difference. That's where we said it would be done. Superb driving from both guys there to give each other space. but Mullet just had no answer to the grip of that soft tyre on the outside there. Very brave from Kevlaro, but great respect shown by Mullet to give him that space on the outside, and Kevlaro just cruised around the outside there. But Mullet is going to have the same problem he had in the last race, and that's Gecko coming up on him towards the end of this race. Gecko was all over the back of Mullet for the final lap of the last race, and Mullet held him off. But will it be a different story this time round? Yeah, that was a great move, Nay, and it was great for Mullet to give him that space as well to be able to make that move. Well, that was fantastic driving from both drivers there. I didn't think he was going to stand a chance against the pace that Kevlaro was showing there. I mean, Kevlaro's making Gecko look slow at the moment, which is not an easy feat, as anyone that's watched any of our races before will know. So Kevlaro should have the win now then. And these guys are going to get an extra lap again. So Mullet again is going to have to defend from Gecko for the final lap of the race again, like he did last time round. Because these guys are going to get one more lap just, which is what happened last time round. Gecko got a final lap by literally thousandths of a second. And obviously that's what allowed him to attack Mullet, but Mullet hung on that time round. Can he do the same in this second race? We're getting a bit of deja vu here, as it looks like Ace Killer's not going to get anything, and Philo was going for that fastest lap, wasn't he? Yeah, it doesn't look like he's got anywhere near, maybe come out and met traffic. He is going to get one more lap, though, if he can get by Ace Killer, but he might be better off dropping off Ace Killer here, actually, because if he drops off Ace Killer, he might get cleaner air. But he's going to look to try and get the move done to get that clean air. So I think Philo's making a mistake here. I think he'd have been better dropping off if he was genuinely going for fastest lap, because he's going to have to put in one hell of a lap to beat Kevlaro's lap. So Mullet now is under pressure from Gecko. So let's see. They're going to get the one more lap by a bit cleaner distance this time. So they are going to get the lap. Can Mullet do the same as what he did in the first race? He defended from Gecko for an entire lap at the end of race 1 to take home P2, and he's now got the exact same task ahead of him this time round. So can Gecko do what Kevlaro did and sail around the outside? In the first race he went for the cutback. Let's see what he does in this one. Goes for the cutback line again. He prefers the cutback line, does Gecko, there to the outside line, but no doing. Mullet's going to have to defend though, but manages to get back on that racing line. So can Gecko, he's got on the inside, but he's going to be out on the outside for the important corner. No, he backs out of that one. So we're having a bit of deja vu here now, as everybody else has finished behind, but we can't help but watch this same lap again. If anyone that's watched the first race is going to think this is a replay, because this is identical to what we had last time round, and Mullet is holding Gecko off again. Can Gecko get on the inside this time, though? Yes, he can. But can he get the decent exit? He's going to run wide. Mullet gets the exit, so can Mullet get the move done? It's a race to the line. Mullet's got the inside line. Will he be able to get back by? And he has. He's got back by Gecko here. It's a race to the line, and Mullet's going to take it by the looks of it. Fantastic driving from these two again. 2 races in a row. They've had a drag race to the line, and Mullet has come out on top both times there. Fantastic racing from all round there. An extreme pace from Kevlaro in that second race. So we'll just run through the running order again there now, the finishing order, sorry. So in P1 with the fastest lap as well, we've got Kevlaro there. Then we've got Mullet holding on to P2 again. Gecko P3. Ace Killer in P4. Oni P5. Umbart P6. Mart in P7. Frozen P8. JP in P9. And Philo P10. So some fantastic racing again there. and Mullet going for the no stop. Different strategy to everybody else and getting him a double podium and holding off Gecko for the final lap on much worse tyres in a much worse condition. 2 races in a row. So I think my driver of the day today has got to go for Mullet for pulling off that alternate strategy. So fantastic there from Mullet. So well done to everyone that took part. Some great racing again there. So I'm going to leave you with that one. So thanks for tuning in. And hopefully we'll see you when the next season is announced for Nexus, as that was the final race. So I'll see you all later.